some people, as soon as their shalom gets disturbed, their memory goes blank. Everything before that. Don't do that, okay? Because if you can't remember it, you can't work towards fixing it and de-escalating the situation and owning your part. See, what's happening is you're just upset because they're getting attacked, and so you're just mad at the attacker for attacking, and you forget, hold on, time out. I need to ask myself a question. Did I do anything that, even if it's, in my opinion, no big deal, that they could have interpreted in the way they're interpreting it? Did I do anything? And that's where you pause and say, I'm really sorry, I didn't mean to get you upset. I don't really know what I did. I'm not playing stupid here. And then let them tell you, and then if you say, whoa, that's not what I did, well, that is still valid what they interpreted. To the person who's exploding, when the person said they didn't do it, their feeling that they didn't do it is still valid. They really didn't think they did it. I do this in counseling all the time with everybody. We need to start validating each other. Validating doesn't mean you agree with them. Validating means that you recognize that that is valid for them to feel the way they did if they interpreted the action that way. Because if you had actually done what they thought you did, you couldn't blame them for feeling that way maybe, okay? And then when the person responds and says, I didn't think I did any of that stuff, we have to validate that too. They had no thought in their head of malice or to do whatever, and they didn't realize that they had done it, and maybe actually, remember, you ever go to those shows back in the 70s, they had a lot of these shows where the comedy shows would show a scene, an event, an accident, or some bad thing that happened, in a group, and each one shows like their version of it. Remember those shows? And then we see what really happened, and none of them had it right. Because each person is filtering through their own filter. When I counsel people that are in an issue, I make sure I tell both of them at the beginning, I'm going to hear you guys out, but understand that after I hear one speak, I still will have no idea what really happened. After I hear the second one speak, I still will have no idea, except for possibly where they agreed on a few things. Those things probably happened, because they both agree. 2 witnesses, okay. But other than that, I want them to know up front that this is not about you convincing me that you were right about what happened. I'm going to only know that's the way you felt about it, and that's how you interpreted it, and that's what your experience was as it filtered through your filters, and the other person the same thing. It's what they experienced and what they filtered. Amen? And then I'm going to get each one to validate the other. I said, you need to understand and validate that that's really the way he felt. Okay, you need to understand that's really the way she felt, whatever. That really is how they felt. Okay? But I don't understand. They didn't have the reason to. No, you don't get to judge whether or not they had a valid reason to feel that way. You're just validating that they actually felt that way. See, we all filter everything through, well, I don't know why they acted that way. There was no reason to do that. I wouldn't have done that. Well, they're not you. Oh, we need to stop that phrase. Well, I wouldn't have done it, so I don't know why you did it. Well, but then the other person's not you. By the way, parents, your children are not you. Stop expecting them to act like you did. Stop expecting them to think like you do. They're not you. And by the way, when they do act like you do, own that, because they are imitating you at times. And don't sit there going, well, I don't know why well, listen, okay? I've had to tell some moms and some dads, well, I don't know why she's, well, because she's you. Well, I don't know why because he's you. And they look at me like, what? Well, listen, I know both of you. I've seen you. Okay? That's a humbling moment. And the person's like, I'm not like that. Well, I don't know. I live with both of you. Maybe it's a wife with a daughter or a husband with a son. And you look at them and say, well, actually, I live with both of you. And yeah, you're both that way. All right? That's hard, though, because how many can agree that we can always see things so much easier in other people than we see in ourselves? Okay? All of us. All right, well, that being said, let a third party say to you, actually, that thing you're so mad at that person for, the rest of us are frustrated because you do it too. And isn't it interesting that when the other person did it, it bothers you, but it doesn't seem to bother you that you're doing it to the rest of us. All right? But we do this. This is called hypocrisy. We're all walking that hypocrisy because, boy, and by the way, the things generally, I'm not going to say this goes across the board, but the things that generally really bother you the most are probably the things you do. That when other people do it, it bothers you. I don't know why that is, but it's just, I've seen it. Okay, when other people do stuff and it really irritates you, you might want to ask the question, I wonder if I do this too. Because you probably do. Because the people that are doing it probably have watched you do it and learned it from you. Okay? Especially if they're your children.